Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dubb video. Today we are reviewing The Fantastic Four: First Steps. The closer we got to this film coming out, the more optimistic I became. There were some minor leaks, some rumors going around. The best way to find out how good it is to see it yourself. We've never had a truly great Fantastic Four adaptation before for live action. It's always been pretty good to, oh my gosh, why are you doing this? But it was never anything like remarkable. It's pretty interesting to think, but I do think really my biggest issue with Fantastic Four: First Steps is, yes, it turns out that they have cut a lot from the film, so that kind of bugs me that they trimmed down everything into what it is, which what it is great, but you could definitely notice there's like a lack of Ben Grimm scenes. Johnny did have an overall pretty good contribution to the plot. You can't ask too much with this film's runtime and how many characters they have to juggle here. Sue Storm and Reed Richards felt a bit more like they were the main characters, which is kind of what I felt like we were going to get. Like I mentioned with Ben Grimm, he really didn't have too much of a story going on. He had this little school pastor teacher lady that he was talking to, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll bring cookies when I come see you next time, because I have cookies," and we were talking about cookies. And she was like, "Okay." And he was like, "That was so fucking stupid." And then he started punching himself in the face, and it was really violent and really just came out of nowhere, to be quite honest with you. But if you compare this film to a film like Eternals, where they also had to juggle like twice as many characters as what we have here, I think they did a pretty okay job with the balancing. I would love to see more of the Thing. I think he was pretty interesting from what they gave us, and overall, I mean, his design is perfect. You know, speaking of designs, the suits are really cool. They just kind of look like sweaters, really. They look very comfortable. Like, I feel like the actors having to get into their costumes really wasn't too much of an ask for them. You know, it's just basically slipping on boots, pants, and a sweater. I do like how they try to do something that felt different to other MCU movies as well. Like, it did have some MCU isms. There was maybe 2 points throughout the movie that felt like MCU humor. So, I mean, really, that's a huge accomplishment on its own. There's a specific scene that I really liked when they were escaping Galactus's compound or whatever, and Silver Surfer was chasing them, and she was riding like space debris like a wave. Are you kidding me? Like, this is awesome. And the stakes just seemed super high with Sue about to give birth, and everyone is like, "Yo, we're out of gas, we can't get home, we gotta use the gravity of this black hole or whatever to launch us home, and it'll also get rid of the Silver Surfer." And Johnny's just like shooting her like in that weird tunnel thing, the wormhole. Like, it was a very well done scene. It really pulled me in. It reminded me a bit of Interstellar. Plus, the way they just cap off that scene with Sue giving the baby while she was invisible, and and Ben cut the umbilical cord. It was very sweet. I think it was, like I said, very well done. And speaking of Galactus, I thought his introduction was amazing. Like, I can't remember the last time we had MCU villain introduction with that badass just silhouette of him, because he's in the dark and his eyes are glowing, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you are ginormous in scale. Like, it's crazy how big you are. So yeah, getting to see Galactus on screen for the first real time was a very cool experience. I think they handled him pretty well. He wasn't in the movie a whole ton, but he was sort of just this ominous presence throughout the entire film after the Silver Surfer shows up. Because everyone knows, like, hey, wait, what? This guy's coming? And, like, if you've ever played Infamous 2, there's this being called the Beast that's coming down the East Bay of the United States the entire game. And you could look at the map of him whenever you pause the game. So, I mean, a little off topic here, but it did remind me a bit of that. So when he finally does show up, you know shit's about to get real. They're using the baby as bait, and then they do a switch out. Galactus is super smart, figures it out, gets the actual baby, and the family has to try to take him down. And everyone's just getting like fucked up and knocked out, and Ben gets thrown into space. It's like, oh my gosh, what? And and Sue Storm is the one that ends up taking him down. It was a really impressive feat. Not like overly done, like, oh yeah, like I believe she could do that. You could tell she was struggling, and it literally killed her putting in that much effort. Like she didn't just walk that off. So we get a little bit of a hint at what Franklin Richards' powers are. He's full of the power cosmic. He's just laying on his mom, brings her back to life. Very sweet. So the characters don't really have a lot to complain about. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more with Ben, and I think Johnny got a lot of screen time. Maybe seeing him do something outside of the Fantastic Four headquarters and something besides Silver Surfer would have been nice to see. But yeah, Sue Storm was great. Reed Richards was fine. I think Pedro Pascal is a very good actor, but I do think you really could have cast anybody else for this role, and it wouldn't have made too much of a difference. Silver Surfer was almost a standout for me in this film. I think she had just about enough screen time, but maybe an extra scene or two with her in it would have really benefited her character, because Johnny figuring out how to decipher her language really comes in handy later on in the film and sends her away. But maybe it would have been nice to see her reflect for a moment, just to think about her planet and what she's really doing for this monster, Galactus. Then we could have had her come back and do what she did, sacrificing herself instead of Johnny having to do it, which really admirable on Johnny's part. So yeah, like most of the characters in this film, just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of her. I thought the action was very well done as well, and the introduction scene that they do, that was just a montage of the Fantastic Four's first 4 years, was really cool. The overall aesthetic of this film and some of the editing choices just really make it feel like an all-around film that can just be its own thing outside of the MCU. Since I've already spoiled most of the film in this review, I may as well talk about the end credits scene. Franklin Richards is hanging out with Sue Storm on the couch. She's reading a book to him, I think, and then there's some kind of like alarm going on, and then she gets up, she puts the baby down, she turns back, and then we get Dr. Doom's back with his mask in his hand, and then it cuts to black because he also has the baby, right? So that was maybe the most hype I've been during an MCU after credit scene in quite a little bit, because we only have one more movie until Doomsday. That being Spider-Man, what's it called? Brand New Day? Yeah. And I know they say that there's production issues going on with Doomsday. Apparently the third act is still being written or something like that. We'll just have to see how it comes out. Because I know Endgame and Infinity War also had issues, and they were just trying to figure stuff out on the spot. So until the film comes out, I'll just keep my expectation levels where they are currently. I'm feeling a good high from Fantastic Four. We'll see if Spider-Man Brand New Day can also keep that going, and then we'll see how I feel going into Doomsday. But yeah, no, congrats, Marvel Studios. I think we got a nice little heavy hitter from Fantastic Four First Steps. Hopefully we can make our budget back here and kind of show you that these are the sort of films that we want. But yeah, everyone, what did you think? Comment down below, let me know. We'll have a little discussion. And until next time, stay safe out there.